If you think cannabis culture started with the hippies in the 1960s, or maybe the jazz clubs of the 1920s, you are off by a few thousand years. Today, cannabis is one of the most widely used psychoactive substances on Earth. But have you ever wondered who the very first person was to look at a sticky green bud, throw it on a fire, and think, hey, I feel pretty good? Today, we're digging into the dusty vaults of archaeology to answer a surprisingly complex question. When exactly did humans start smoking weed? And spoiler alert, our ancestors were getting high long before anyone invented the joint. To understand when we started smoking it, we first have to look at when we started using it. Because for a long time, humans treated cannabis the way we treat cotton or timber. It was just a highly practical resource. Botanists trace the origins of cannabis back to Central Asia, specifically near the Altai Mountains and western China, roughly 12,000 years ago, just as the last ice age was wrapping up. Early humans quickly realized this fast-growing plant was an absolute superpower for survival. Its stalks provided super strong hemp fibers. We used it to weave clothes, twist heavy dusty ropes, and knot fishing nets. Its seeds were packed with oil and protein, making them an excellent snack. For nearly 8,000 years, cannabis was basically the ancient world's favorite industrial textile, but it didn't take long for humans to notice its other properties. By 2700 BC, the mythical Chinese emperor Shen Nung, often called the father of Chinese medicine, documented cannabis in his pharmacopoeia. He wasn't smoking it, though. He prescribed cannabis tea to treat everything from malaria to poor memory. But when did we transition from drinking it as tea to actually inhaling the smoke? For decades, historians had hints. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus wrote about a nomadic group of warriors called the Scythians around 450 BC. He claimed they would gather inside small tents, throw cannabis seeds and leaves onto hot red stones, and howl with delight as the smoke filled the air. But Herodotus was known to stretch the truth. Historians wanted proof. And in 2019, science finally found the smoking gun, literally. An international team of archaeologists was excavating the Jurzankal Cemetery, a 2,500-year-old burial site high up in the Pamir Mountains of western China. Inside the tombs, they found ancient wooden braziers, essentially small, portable fire pots containing charred stones. The scientists extracted the organic material from the burn marks on those rocks and ran it through a laboratory test called gas chromatography mass spectrometry. The result? They found a massive chemical signature of cannabinol, or CBN. Now, CBN is what tetrahydrocannabinol, better known as THC, the main psychoactive compound in weed, turns into when it oxidizes and ages. This was groundbreaking. It proved that 2,500 years ago, mourners at these funerals were intentionally burning high THC cannabis on hot rocks inside enclosed spaces. They were breathing in the fumes to achieve an altered state of consciousness, likely as part of a ritual to commune with the dead or ease the grief of the living. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Most wild cannabis back then had very low levels of THC. It wasn't strong enough to give you a psychoactive high. So how did the people of Pamir Mountains get the strong stuff? Scientists have two theories. First, cannabis plants produce more THC as a defense mechanism when they're stressed out by high ultraviolet radiation and cold temperatures. Because this cemetery was located over 3,000 meters above sea level, the wild cannabis growing there might have naturally evolved to be incredibly potent. Humans simply wandered up the mountain, tried it, and realized it hit differently. The second theory? Early humans were already playing the long game. They might have been actively selecting and breeding the specific plants that made them feel buzzed, effectively starting the very first cannabis cultivation for recreational or spiritual use. From Central Asia, this knowledge exploded along the Silk Road. It traveled to India, where it became embedded in religious rites. Legend even says that Hindu god Shiva favored a cannabis drink called bhang. It spread to the Middle East, North Africa, and eventually across Europe and the Americas. So when did humans start smoking weed? While we've used the plant for raw survival for over 10,000 years, our oldest concrete, hard scientific evidence of humans burning cannabis specifically to get high clocks in at about 2,500 years ago. So the next time you see someone interacting with cannabis culture today, just remember, they aren't participating in a modern trend. They are taking part in a ritual that reaches all the way back to ancient alpine tombs and nomadic warriors huddled around hot stones. Thanks for watching Learnt. If you found this trip through history fascinating, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the unexpected origins of everyday things, and let us know in the comments what history mysteries we should unpack next. See you next time!